Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm Dani, and today Great.com talks with Chico, the people and culture leader at San Francisco CASA. If you haven't heard of it yet, the San Francisco CASA works to transform the lives of children and youth traumatized and displaced in the foster care systems. Remember, before we begin, if you're new here to this podcast, press subscribe on YouTube or in your podcast app. Now, hi, Chico, and welcome.
Hi, Dani. Thank you so much. And I'm super excited to be here and share about us of CASA.
Thank you for taking time and talking to me today. I'm really eager to learn more about you guys. And my first curiosity today is to learn about how it began. Actually, how the CASA began and how did your story got connected with the organization?
So San Francisco CASA, I think, let me back up a little bit. The CASA program is a nationwide program. There is a CASA program in almost every state and in every county. San Francisco CASA specifically started in 1991, and it was founded by a group of folks who realized that there is a gap and a need for young folks to be represented in the court systems and to humanize them and to offer advocacy for young people who are in foster care. And so a group of folks came together. They advocated for some funding, and that's how we started. And our core mission is to recruit adults and volunteers from the community to serve young people in the foster care and associated systems. So it's not just young people in foster care, but we also serve young people in juvenile justice systems as well. And to give them just a consistent, caring adult, someone who's going to be walking with them through the foster care systems and supporting them and advocating for them and making sure that their voice is being heard, their best interest is being stated and is in mind when they're being going through the court system. As far as I'm concerned, my career journey has been a long, windy, interesting one that landed me here. My initial job was working with young people who are commercially sexually exploited. I did that job for a few years. That is hard work, and it's heartbreaking work as well. And so at the point when some of my burnout happened, I decided that I was going to just take a break and I was going to go do something else and live my best life and maybe go and find a corporate job somewhere. That was a lie. I ended up doing behavioral work and we're working with young people with developmental disabilities and young people diagnosed with autism. And so from that, I decided to get a degree in education, got a master's in education. And that's the thing that actually landed me back into the advocacy world. And so I ended up working with the National Center for Youth Law, what does amazing educational advocacy work for young people, and working with young people in foster care. I fell in love with young people in foster care and the organizations that support these youth. So when an opportunity came from SF CASA to join their team in 2020, mid-COVID, wild ride, yes, I was honored and I have been there ever since, and I love it so much. The work that we do here is incredible. The advocates are incredible, and the people we work with are amazing and passionate, and the young people also are. We see them once a year at our holiday party, and I wish we could just keep them at the office because these amazing, resilient young people are why we're here.
Well, thank you so much. I can actually feel your passion from here. It's always great to hear someone speaking with really such passion about what they do and about the organization they are involved in. But I need to break this a little and turn into the grim part of it, let's call, because I don't think that I know that I don't fully understand how this whole system works and what is the context, the situation that you're seeing of foster youth in there. What are the needs? What are the challenges? Could you help us understanding that a little bit more?
Of course. So as we speak, well, as of the last time that I checked, we have around 900 young people in foster care in San Francisco County. San Francisco CASA serves about 350 of them. So we have around 360 active volunteers, but we also know that there's a gap there and there's a need. So in terms of the need for young people in foster care, in general, it's the trauma. Young people are coming into these systems they're traumatized before they enter the systems, and that's why they're getting removed from their homes. And then there's the trauma that comes in once they're in the system and having to navigate multiple placement changes, having to navigate multiple school changes. Their records get lost in the meantime. There's a lack of consistency in terms of professionals in their lives. There's a lack of services as well, and especially after COVID hit, I think we haven't really understood the impact of COVID on young people in our systems. One of the really big things that I've noticed is that referrals for mental health services have been very slow in terms of support for young people. So that's a major thing that young people are facing as well. So there's the trauma of being in care, there's the trauma of COVID, there's the trauma of removal, and also there's the trauma of the racial inequity that happens here in San Francisco. We have about 5% African-American Black identifying population in San Francisco. And meanwhile, 50% of the young people in care are Black or African-American identifying. And so I think that our systemic inequities are continuing to traumatize communities of color. And our hope and our guiding light at this point is that we can meet the needs of folks. We can start reducing the number of young people who are in care right now, because that number keeps going up year by year. And we can provide services to the young people already in care, and hopefully there's a word that I'm looking for, culturally relevant services to young people in care. And that actually leads us to an issue that SF CASA in itself has. We have about 70 to 80% of our volunteers are white identifying. And you heard that number in terms of African-American identifying young people. So there's a disproportionate representation of white folks who are volunteering. We have about 12% of our volunteers being African-American identifying. And so we're really not meeting the needs of the young people that are in care and in our care specifically. In culturally relevant ways, and we really would like to shift that and change that. And part of the reason why I am here today is hopefully, as I'm talking to you, somewhere in your audience, there are Black African-American identifying folks who would like to support youth in foster and juvenile justice systems. And I would love for you to join us and come to our website and join us and be our volunteers.
Wow, I love that play. And honestly, I really, really appreciate the fact that you guys are seeing this in your own system, right? In your own structure. I think sometimes we sort of ignore these points in terms of structure, how they are somehow blended in those very important places and discussions, I would say. But considering
I'm sorry to interrupt you. I was just going to say you're completely correct. Intersectionality is one of those things that I think we've just recently started talking about, and realizing that we really need to be serving young people at the point of intersection of their identities and being able to support them in their growth as in a culturally aware and culturally sensitive way. So you're completely correct that this is really important.
But now, considering this whole context that you just described to me, how are you guys working to fix it, let's say, to help out the kids? What programs do you have?
We have many, but our core program is the SF CASA program. So just to walk us back a little bit, what SF CASA stands for is the San Francisco Court Appointed Special Advocate. And what that means is we recruit folks from the community. So folks come to us from all walks of life. Typically, these are professionals outside of the psychology or foster care systems. They are not social workers. These are just regular people living regular lives, and they're just wanting to help out and support young people. And so what we do is we bring them in, we offer them between 40 to 42 hours worth of training. So these trainings typically happen 4 times a year, so a training per quarter. We're just wanting to make sure that there's consistency in messaging once the people come in through the door and want to support young people. And so also we want them to understand what are the cultural contexts that they're stepping into, what are some of the systemic things that they're going to be stepping into, what are some of the challenges in advocacy, and also training them on advocacy and making sure that they're being youth-centered, they're centering the needs of the young person and kind of letting go of biases, because that happens all the time, regardless of race or color or who's interacting with who, biases come in all all the time. We just want to make sure that they understand that they're there for the young person, in service of the young person. Once they go through that training, they are assigned to a case supervisor. So that is a key support that we have for advocates. So there's going to be one person that you're guaranteed will pick up your phone call when you've just gone and faced a very wild advocacy situation. You can call this person, you can email this person, they're there for you to support you. So you get assigned to a case supervisor, you get to know them. They typically share with you a couple of files of cases of young people. And to walk back a little bit, we do ask for preferences. What age group do you want to work with? So once we figure that out, you get to read a couple of cases of young people, pick one, that's the person that you're going to be working with, and then you're good to go. So that is our core programming, is that we're going to be matching up one adult with one child, which is very different from what the foster care system looks like. Typically, there's lots and lots of paid adults, there's attorneys, there's social workers, they come in, they go out. Sometimes teams are huge, teams are constantly evolving and changing, but we have this one person who's going to walk through this entire journey with a young person. And we actually have a lot of longevity in our retention. Like, a lot of our advocates are staying 3+ years. And meanwhile, our minimum requirement is 18 months. So we have a lot of longevity with advocates staying on with young people, and sometimes even beyond being a CASA. And so we will have a CASA be with this young person, advocate for them, learn what their interests are, learn what their strengths are. And the key part of advocacy, which we also train on, is court reports, which sound very intimidating to a lot of folks, but they're always written in collaboration. And if you're really like ingrained in your case and really learning what the young person needs, court reports are a breeze. And so we have the court reports coming in, and the purpose of those is to humanize the young person, because typically the young person is a case number. The young person is a conversation that somebody had behind closed doors about whether they should be removed from their home or not. The judge has thousands of folks on their docket. They probably have never met the young person that they're going to be making these major life decisions on. And so the CASA does this beautiful thing of bringing this young person into the court as a complete, like, holistic way of looking at the young person as a complete human being. So that is our core programming. In there, though, we did talk about the training. So the training is comprehensive. We do encourage folks to join the training, even if they're not going to complete it and turn it and go into the CASA work. It's an amazing training. Like, there's different varying topics. There's like working with children and child development and trauma. They learn about systems and what it looks like, the journey between identifying a young person as a young person that needs to be removed from their home, all the way to reunification, which is something that we truly champion for. We do have our continuing ed. Every CASA, once they go through training, is required to have 12 hours of continuing education credits. This is just to make sure that they're current on their information, whatever advocacy they're providing to young people is relevant, whatever information that they're sharing with others is relevant as well. So that's usually like a CE credit a month. And we offer those opportunities in-house. And so we encourage folks to attend those as well. They're usually on our website. So those are always opportunities for folks to learn more. So lots of ed things are going on. In addition to the education and like the CASA work that we actually do, we typically collaborate with other organizations and making sure that we are not working in a silo, and making sure that we're coordinating services, especially for the young people that we are working with. And more recently, we just went through this whole strategic planning process. We identified a need in like participating in policy work. So we're actually going to be getting started with some of that work on Monday. We're all going to the city and lobbying for the city of San Francisco to provide some funding for foster youth care via CASA. So that's going to be really exciting, and more to come there as well. And we're also working on providing a natural supports programming. So one of the things that I just mentioned is like there's longevity in these relationships because it is a one-on-one relationship. You get to know each other. We do require the CASA see their assigned young people minimum once a week, but if they're placed a little bit further out of San Francisco, maybe once every couple of weeks or twice a month. Because they are working so closely together, a lot of the times, whether a young person turns 21, and I didn't even mention that. So here, a young person can be in foster care until they're 21. So whether a young person turns 21 and transitions to adulthood, or their case closes in reunification or guardianship, a CASA can still continue on with a young person. They just transition into being a natural support. So they're just like part of the family now. They're like auntie, like for those of us who are culturally in the auntie world. For those folks, we've recognized that there's definitely a need for support outside of the CASA program because these relationships continue to be nuanced. We still need resources. We are in a very finance rich for tech folks area, but for the rest of us, like financially, this is a very expensive place. And a lot of families feel that hit of how expensive it is to live here. And if we can provide any sort of services for families and CASAs who are continuing to support families and young people, then we're definitely going to be doing that. So that's in the works, and hopefully in the next year, that's going to be happening. So that's just like a little bit of an idea of some of the work that we're doing.
Thank you. It was a perfect overview. And actually, I just want to highlight here that we try to make a short view of everything, but you can get more information at their website, which is sfcasa, CASA.org. You can get all the information in there, and especially you can get in touch with them. If you know someone that needs help, to know someone that can volunteer, that would like to join these efforts that Chico just mentioned, you can all get information through their website. You can find it in the description of this episode, either on your podcast app, on YouTube. And now, Chico, I need to ask you a very, very important question, considering all of those programs and things that you guys are doing in there, is how can everyone listening to us right now can somehow get involved and can help you keep going, keep moving forward?
That is an amazing question, and definitely like a plug for us here. So a good chunk of our funding comes from private donors. We do have some government funding. We do have, but a lot of our money comes either from individual donors or foundations. So if you are a person who's out there who's able to give, we are happy to receive, and a lot of good work is happening, and you're going to be making a lot of things possible. And so just an example of some of the things that we do is our young people always get access to like birthday cakes for free, because special occasions are a difficult time for young people in care. That's usually a time when it really highlights for them about how much they're missing in terms of family and support. And so we try to make those special occasions as special as possible. So your donation is going to be making sure that a young person gets a cake for their birthday, or a gift for their graduation, or maybe some ballet shoes, because finally they figured out that they want to dance their life away. So please donate. And also we'll be making it possible so that during the holidays, we always make sure that our young folks, our assigned young folks, have a gift for the holidays. And we've actually extended that now, because what we're starting to realize is that not only do we need to advocate for young people, we also need to be advocating for their families and advocating for family stability and reunification, and making that possible as much as possible, because kids thrive in their families and their communities. So our holiday party has started to integrate the whole family. So not only are CASAs and young people attending holiday parties, the family is also attending holiday parties, and we want to give a gift to everyone. So your donation might make it possible that this Christmas, a young person and all their siblings get a gift. So we do want to invite you to donate. And if you want to get any more information about donations, like Danny mentioned, sfcasa.org is where you can contact us, and we can give you a little bit more information around donating. Another way that folks can help is we have realized in terms of recruitment, the best way to recruit folks is word of mouth. So if you are listening, you're in the San Francisco Bay Area region, please reach out if you're interested in becoming a volunteer for us. We are working very, very hard to meet the needs of this changing landscapes in terms of volunteerism. So not only are we offering the CASA role, we're also trying to explore other ways that folks can support us. So for instance, we now have about 3 volunteer photographers, which is amazing because young people, when they have events, we finally get to photograph them in ways that are beautiful and awesome and like share those pictures with them. And so we're trying to figure out different ways that we can get the community involved. And so if you're interested and maybe can't commit like to a 40-hour training or can't commit to the 18 months of working with a young person, or can't commit to that weekly visit with a young person, but still like feel the need to help, please reach out and we're going to figure out how we can include you in this work that we're doing.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I loved this conversation. I learned so much. So it was really, really fun. I love the vibes, Jacob. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Danny. Thank you for having me.
It was my pleasure. And for everybody watching and listening, also, thank you so much for joining us for one more episode. And remember, if you liked it, press subscribe on YouTube or new podcast app, because that shows the algorithms that this is an important conversation and we can spread the word about the importance of the San Francisco CASA. Bye, and I'll see you in the next episode.
Bye, everyone.